The Colt 1911 served as the primary U.S. military handgun for almost an entire century. Commonly known as the government model, it was the premier pistol of the armed forces from 1911 until 1985, when it was finally replaced by the Beretta M9. Certain branches, the Marine Corps in particular, continued to use the 1911 after 1985, though. It was used frequently in Iraq and Afghanistan, and those who carried it have even argued for it to be readopted and to replace the M9, because of its reliability and the fact that it's just so damn good. The government model remains popular with a wide array of U.S. shooters. Some law enforcement agencies in the USA issue 1911 pistols, while others allow officers to carry the 1911 as an off-duty or personally owned weapon. SWAT teams especially favor the 1911 because of its accuracy and stopping power. With respect to civilian shooters, the government model remains popular among competitors in combat shooting events and those who legally carry a concealed weapon every day. Part of the Colt 1911's appeal is its historical status, along with the Colt Single-Action Army, as an iconic American handgun. In addition to being employed by U.S. military heroes, the 1911 has been carried by famous lawmen, including FBI agents and Texas Rangers, as well as by many of the famous gangsters of the 1930s. In fiction and film, the carrying of a government model by a character has come to indicate that he or she is a tough professional armed with a serious weapon. Classic war films like The Wild Bunch or Saving Private Ryan feature 1911s, as do big-screen action heroes like Steven Seagal and Robert De Niro, who have often portrayed tough guys armed with one of these. You also see it in the hands of Humphrey Bogart in lots of movies, although he did use one in real life as well. While he was in the Navy, he reportedly shot and killed a fleeing prisoner with a 1911. In fiction, the gun is as popular as it is in reality, and an entire video could be made about literary and cinematic characters who have used it. A lot of the appeal of the Colt 1911 can be summed up in two words: stopping power. The 1911 fires a 230 grain bullet which delivers a lot of punch. The saying among those who carried government model 45s was, "They all fall to hardball." Hardball refers to the fully jacketed 230 grain 45 ACP round that it fires. To put the 230 grain bullet of the standard 45 ACP military load in perspective, through much of its military history, enemy handguns were in 9x19mm parabellum and fired a 115 grain bullet. That's half the weight of the 45. The 1911's stopping power has also made it a symbol of strength and manhood. It's a pistol that has been proven in battle, in the trenches of World War I, and on other battlefields around the world and throughout history. Although the 1911 has sometimes had a bad reputation for inaccuracy, the pistol is actually quite accurate. Many of the charges of inaccuracy can be traced to soldiers who had never fired a handgun before and were intimidated by the 45, or by military pistols that were very worn when they were given to soldiers. The U.S. Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps armorers became quite adept at working over government models for competitive shooters, and that means that the guns improved over time. Today, the 1911 type pistol is still manufactured by numerous companies. Some offer modifications designed to enhance the pistol's effectiveness, while others offer the basic 1911 or 1911A1 style of pistol. The 1911's 45 ACP cartridge is even more popular. Virtually every major handgun manufacturer, including Glock, HK, SIG, Smith & Wesson, and many more, offer some sort of a 45 ACP pistol. There are many reasons why the 1911 has remained so popular. Among U.S. military special operators, the stopping power of the 45 with full metal jacket bullet is considered superior to the 9mm Beretta with full metal jacket by a large margin. Among upper echelon U.S. law enforcement agencies like the FBI's Hostage Rescue Team, SWAT, and others which are not limited to using full metal jacket, the stopping power of the 45 ACP is still considered elite. For those who may have to take a critical shot in Afghanistan or on the streets of LA, the reliability and the accuracy of the 1911 can mean the difference between life and death. When the 1911 is carried by a trained shooter, its cocked and locked carry allows it to be drawn and fired with the precision of a single-action trigger pull, far better than the double-action autos widely used today. Fiction often mirrors reality, as we've seen with the depiction of the pistol in films and television. That's also the case with video games, as the M1911 is featured in hundreds of shooters. If you're playing a war game, particularly one set during World War II, I'm willing to bet that you will see one. It's a heavy hitter that is characterized by a couple of things. First, it hits hard, and second, it has a small magazine. The .45 caliber round makes it more deadly than a 9mm, but it also means that it's harder to control, slower to fire, and offers fewer chances to make a mistake. In PUBG, the 1911 is one of the more common weapon spawns you'll find when you land, and it can be a decent choice for early round confrontations. The 1911 packs a punch in a small package. Its damage output is limited only by the small magazine size and the skill of its operator. It is therefore advisable to find an extended or extended quick draw mag as soon as possible if planning to keep this weapon, as its magazine capacity is almost doubled, greatly increasing its potential as a backup weapon. Due to its slow muzzle velocity of 250 meters per second, it is inadvisable to use this gun at ranges further than 50 meters. Damage falloff begins after the bullet has traveled 1 meter and will continually decrease for as long as the bullet is in flight. I do like the in-game description though. Your grandpa loved it. The gun has also made many appearances in Call of Duty. It's in nearly every COD game, including 1 through 4, World at War, Black Ops, Ghost, Advanced Warfare, and World War II, where it is commonly used by members of the 1st Infantry Division as their sidearm of choice. It is able to kill an enemy in 2 shots at a very close range. It is limited by a 7-round magazine, a slow rate of fire, and high recoil. Certain perks like advanced rifling or extended mags are good attachments to use, either extending the 2-hit kill range or mitigating the small magazine slightly. With the other weaknesses of the gun still prevalent, however, it is recommended not to use this weapon outside of a close range, as its inaccuracy proves to be detrimental rather quickly. In hardcore game modes, the weapon is capable of being much more effective. The 1911 is capable of a one-shot kill at all ranges, unless firing through cover. As a handgun, the weapon boasts handling traits which rival or best most of the other guns in the game. It has a fast sprint out time coupled with a near instantaneous ADS, along with decent hipfire accuracy. In this sense, the 1911 can be used almost as a primary to net one-shot kills at any distance, as its faster handling can beat out most other guns at close ranges and continues to be competitive out until medium range. As long as the player can get the first shot on target to secure the kill, the recoil and slow rate of fire cease to remain problems, and the gun can be used very effectively as a pseudo-primary of sorts, sort of like you would see with a Desert Eagle in CSGO. The numerous appearances of the pistol in the Call of Duty franchise makes it one of the more iconic and recognizable weapons in the entire series. The 1911 has also been featured prominently in Battlefield, and is in nearly every game of that series as well. I'll focus on its appearance in Battlefield 1 because I find it the most interesting. The M1911 is one of the several weapons used by the Harlem Hellfighters during the prologue Storm of Steel. An M1911 silencer variant is available from a weapon crate in Through Mud and Blood, and one is also used by the player in Nothing Is Written. 4 variants of the M1911 are featured in Battlefield 1. The standard pistol version, 2 cosmetic variants Hellfighter and Doughboy, and Extended, a pistol carbine version exclusive to tankers and pilots. Available from the start, the M1911 is arguably one of the best all-kit handguns in the game due to its high power and fast reloads. At close range, it's capable of killing an enemy in 3 shots. The M1911 has an empty reload speed of 1.7 seconds, faster than those of all other kit pistols, like the P08 and MLE 1903. Which have empty reload speeds of 2 seconds and 2.7 respectively. A downside to using the M1911 is that it has fairly high recoil when aiming down the sights, and it quickly becomes inaccurate if you fire it too fast. However, the gun's hipfire accuracy is good, and can be useful up to medium ranges. Battlefield also gives a good in-game description that I enjoyed. A truly legendary handgun, the M1911 is widely considered the greatest semi-automatic pistol ever made. It's true. Perhaps my true favorite of all its appearances is in Metal Gear Solid though. The usage of the M1911 in Operation Snake Eater is the most unique and coolest representation in video game history. Naked Snake had a standard issue M1911A1 during the very beginning of Operation Snake Eater, but it was dismantled and thrown into the wilderness by the boss. Snake's carrying the M1911A1 was because the stipulations for the mission required proof of America's involvement, due to the tense situation requiring the mission. When Snake met Eva in Rosvat, she provided him with another, heavily customized 1911, which she stole from a vault within Groznygrad, that was used to store Western weapons for research by seducing the guards. Snake furthered the gun's abilities by whittling a notch into the wooden grip in order to hold a knife and the gun with both hands to perform his famous CQC. The modified 1911 originally belonged to a Western officer, but the Soviets somehow managed to steal it and place it in Selinoyarsk for research purposes. The Soros Ghost also carried an M1911. Presumably it was a World War II issue and the weapon he carried with him when he and the boss fought to the death. Snake lost the pistol at the end of Operation Snake Eater, when Ocelot tossed his gear from the WWII aircraft they were on. Big Boss's 45 is so quintessentially Big Boss, and I can't put into words how much the memories of Snake Eater I have are associated with this gun. Snake's description of it makes me feel what he felt, and without it, I don't think Snake Eater would be the same. Aside from my personal favorites, the M1911 has been featured in Watchdog, Door Kickers, Enemy Front, Rekoil, Liberator, Grand Theft Auto, Jagged Alliance, Receiver, Max Payne, Sniper Elite, Firing Range, Combat Mission, Men of War, Mafia, Arma, Necrovision, Stalker, The Saboteur, Alliance of Valiant, Wolfenstein, Shell Left 4 Dead, 007, Far Cry, Brothers in Arms, Medal of Honor, The History Channel, Battle for the Pacific, Death to Spies, World in Conflict, The Darkness, Hour of Victory, Too Spicy, War Rock, Faces of War, Condemned, Operation Flashpoint, Viet Cong, Call of Cthulhu, Day of Defeat, Project Dead to Rights, Combat, Task Force, The Punisher, Ghost Recon, Men of Valor, Conflict, Vietnam, Second Delta Force, Day of Defeat, Viet Cong, Line of Sight, Soldier of Global Fortune, Operation, Resident Siphon Filter, Tomb Raider, Soldiers at Realms War, of the Haunted, Alliance, To End All Wars, and 6 Days in Fallujah. While firearms like the Colt revolver dominated as the popular pistols of the 1800s, a new semi-automatic handgun burst upon the scene in the early 20th century. It's embedded itself in popular culture ever since, never losing the respect of law enforcement, soldiers, or any of the millions of people who have carried one. Even today, it's still among the most popular handgun designs among military, private, and even some law enforcement agencies around the world. And few historic firearms have ever exhibited similar staying power that this handgun so famously boasts. I hope you enjoyed this video on John Browning's M1911. If you did, be sure to share it with every gamer you know. If you're interested in more videos on weapons and video games, be sure to recommend one in the comments below, or check out my other videos. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.